Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Final Concept. So those of you who want to showcase your product to the world, but you can't find a solid design to make your product stand out. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple product design in Adobe Photoshop. So let's just get started. Welcome to Final Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Let's go ahead and open up our application. For this tutorial, I'm always going to use the Adobe Photoshop CC, and I'll go ahead and create a new document. So I'll set my width and height to 2K by 2K and leave the resolution as 300. That's something I personally like to do, and I have made this a square, so if it's supposed to be a WhatsApp DP or on Instagram, it can still fit just as nicely. Now the image I'm going to be using is this image I have right here, so I'll go ahead and open it up in Adobe Photoshop, and we can see that we have this white background with a lot of texture in there. The idea here is try to take it away, so I'll be using the magic wand. Because everything is white, I'll just click one time and it's going to do a pretty neat job isolating the item from the white background. So once I have that selection, I'll just click on this icon right here, which allows us to create a layer mask. Now you can see that it selected the inwards. We want the outer part, so what I'll do is, with the layer mask selected, not the layer itself, with the layer mask selected, I'll hold down Control and I'll press I. And this is going to invert my selection. Now I can just right click and go to apply layer mask, or you can just leave it as that and use your move tool V on your keyboard, click and drag onto the workspace you have here and bring the mouse over here. Now you get this icon, then you can release your mouse click or the left mouse click. So I'll spread this up to, I think something like this should be okay. About this big should be just fine. Now I don't need this document anymore, so I'll go ahead and just close it up. Now there are a couple of information that I will need for this, so that is what I'm going to be putting in for now. But before that, you know what, let's just double click and change this to image so that I know exactly what I'm doing. Now you can also go ahead and change the background colors and all, but I'm going to keep everything the way they are now. Now I'm going to grab the ellipse tool, ellipse just in the shapes tools. This will allow me to create a circle, so I'll just click and drag one time, and as I'm dragging, I'll hold down the shift key so that it will give me a perfect circle. Without holding down the shift key, I might get an ellipse, so hold down the shift key to get a perfect circle, and I'll put this somewhere around here. Now I can use the move tool to position it wherever I want on my document. So you know what, let's just zoom this in so that I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to group this, Control G, or just click and drop onto the third icon from the right. Now this will create a group for us, so I'll double click and I'll call this rate because I'll be typing in the amount of this whoever is selling this. So I'll grab the type tool, the horizontal type tool, T on your keyboard, and I'll type in the rate like GHC, let's say 1000 cities, and I'll just increase the size to about, I don't know, 30. I think 30 is okay. I'll obviously have to reduce this one, so I'll highlight that and I'll select a simple font size. I think about 18 should be just fine. Now I also want this text to be closer to the one I have up here, so I'll highlight that, go into window, make sure that character is checked, and once I am in there, I'm going to play around this slider I have over here. So this allows me to control how much distance is between the text at the top and the text at the bottom. So I'll bring this, I think somewhere around here should be just fine. Now the font I'm using is called Unisans. I'm currently using the regular version, so I'll change this to the bold version. So I should probably be able to change it from somewhere around here. I should probably just type it in here. That's one thing I don't like about this font. In case you want to make any changes, you have to type the actual name over and over again. Alright, so I think something like this is okay. I can also just reduce the size of my shape, just like so. Yeah, I think something like this is cool. Now I want to create a rectangle around this image along with the shape I have in here. So what I'll do is, let's group this up, Control G, and I'll call this image. Now I'll be putting that on top of my image, so go into the shapes tool and select the rectangle. Now the difference between what we are going to be doing apart from the ellipse shape we use is, I'll go up here where we have the fill and I'll change it to no fill, and I'll move up here where we have the stroke and I'll select the second preset for a stroke. I'm leaving my stroke size to about 10 pixel, and I'll create a shape like this whilst holding down the shift key, obviously, to also get a perfect square. So once I have that, I'll just use the move tool to move this also at the center. I think I should probably align this first. So to get that, hold down Control and press R. R will bring up your rulers, and I'll just click and drag and drop this at the center. Should be somewhere here. All right, then I'll click and drag from the top. It should be somewhere here. Now I think this is looking quite nice. So I'll again select my rectangle and I'll just position this at the center like so. I think this is looking quite nice. Now that I have done that, I think I should also push this somewhere around here so that it doesn't interfere with what I have in here also. Now let me quickly go ahead and save this up because you never know when I might lose light. Canon 500D. Let's save this on my desktop instead. Alright, so now that I have that, I think we can pretty much start with the rest of the information. So Control R to deactivate the rulers. Now I want to change the color of this to a red to just to draw attention instead of using black here. So I'll change it to a solid red color. I think a darker red is okay, so I'll be using this BA0A0A, and I'll just click on OK. I think something like this should be just fine. We also need to add in the name of the camera so that whoever is looking at it can know that this is a Canon 500D. So I'll just click on the group icon so that I get a group, and I'll call this just say name. Then I'll be typing in the name, so let's just say Canon 500D. You can see because my font color is white and the background is also white, so I'll just go ahead and change it to probably a dark color. I think something like this should be okay. It's 500D, not 5000D, and I'll place it somewhere around here. Now I want to make this a bit different from what I have in here, so what I'll do is I'll grab the rectangle tool and I'll just draw a rectangle around the 500D like so. Let's quickly undo. Okay, now this is still taking the presets of the previous shape we created with a stroke and no fill. So what I'll do is I'll just change this to no stroke and I'll just change this to a fill, so that should replace what I have in there. Now I'm going to bring the rectangle beneath my text, so just click and drag and put it beneath, and with my text selected, I'm actually going to change this font right here, which is also black, to a white font so it looks a bit different. And I can also just add in some space, about 2 spaces. I think 1 should be just fine. So with the rectangle selected, I'll just make sure I have my move tool also active. I'll hold down the control key and I should get this icon. So holding down the control key should change this icon, and I can pretty much just change or deform this rectangle I have here. I'm also going to hold down the shift key so that it is deformed horizontally so that it doesn't move to this awkward position I have here. So I'll just hold down the shift key, and I think something like this should be okay. I can just comment OK or hit enter on my keyboard. So this is what we are starting with. There are a couple of information I have to also add in here, like the megapixel and all of that. So let's just start off with the specs. Now to do that, I already have a list of specs in here. I'm quickly just checking on my phone because I don't have them offhand. I know it's a 15 megapixel camera. Alright, so we can, let me zoom in over here. We can start by using the type tool. We can type in something like lens mount. Alright, I'll select and use the left align option and probably just change it to regular, and also reduce the size to about 14 point. Yeah, I think something like this should be just fine. So I'll just be typing in my information. So it's using the Canon EF/EF-S mount. I think this is okay. It has a shutter speed of 30 seconds to 1 out of 4,000 seconds. So that is also okay. I should probably highlight both of these. Also go back to my character options and change this to auto so that the spacing is done automatically and it's not going to take what I had previously. And I think there are a few other options or specs I can also add in here. Now I think the most important one should be the megapixel count. 15 megapixel, it's actually 15.1 megapixel CMOS sensor. Right, so if I zoom out, I think we are getting most of our information right already. I have to highlight this and make this text a bit smaller because I don't want it to be going into the other direction. So let's just say I think about 12 should be just fine. Now what I can do is I can duplicate this using Ctrl J, duplicate, use the move tool and just move the second one over here whilst holding down the shift key so that it is aligned horizontally. And I'll highlight the whole of this using Ctrl A to highlight everything, and I'll select right align, so that should move it to the right, and I can reposition this somewhere around here. So the rest of my information like video resolution should also come here, so I can say 1080p video recording, and it also has 3 frames per second burst shoot. And I think another important factor should be the ISO, which is also around 3200. That is the maximum ISO of this camera. So I think if you have a product like this and you want to just showcase onto the internet or on social media and you are probably selling this, you can just use this idea to design your own so that it can at least be appealing to whoever is interested in buying this, rather than having just a plain text or something of that sort. In case you want to add in a little bit more, you can also do that, but I think this is quite simple. You don't have to go through a whole lot of stress. There's another thing I want to, if you want to change this, the alignment you have or the outlines you have for the rectangle, just make sure that the shape tool is active and the layer or the rectangle is also active. Just go over here and change it to whether short dashes to get this nice cool effect, or you can just use whatever you have in there. I think I'll go with this. In case you want to also use dotted circles, you can also use that, but I think this is looking quite nice for me. I'm also interested in changing the black here, so that's this rectangle over here. I'll change it to the same red color to make it appeal a little bit more to the public. So basically that is it. You can leave everything like this, but because these are points, I also want to add in some few things. This is totally not compulsory, but this is what I want to do. So with the circle or the LH2 selected, make sure you are using a nose stroke and a fill. So select any fill color you want. We can obviously change it later on. I'll create a circle like this whilst holding down the shift key. So this is what I have. I want to change the color to this red color, so I'll double click and I'll sample the color from here. Now if I move back to what I have, this is what is giving me. So I'll place this somewhere around here. Ctrl J to duplicate, hold down the shift key and bring this also here. Control J to duplicate, bring this also here. Now what I can do is I can select all three of these and duplicate them using Control J. Then I'll just use my move tool to move them over to the other side, just like so. Since they are all in the same arrangement, I just want to have everything horizontally. Now I should probably bring this at the bottom, so I think if this information was at the top rather, it will look a bit more appealing. So I think something like this should be much better. Now I'll go ahead and remove these, so just click to the top and click to the left. So basically that is it. Let's just group this up. Alright, as always, the PSD template is going to be linked below, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.